Swift. Thank you. Hello. Sorry now, I'm a little bit nervous. I have a bit of a speech row, so sorry now. So, to the Irish government, I am known as just one of the 221. To my family, friends and loved one, I am known as Louise, mom, daughter, sister, wife and aunt. In 2012, I went to my GPs for my regular smear test. At this time, I felt something was not right, but like so many others, I put my trust in the system and believed them when the test came back clear. My GP and myself felt the next step forward was to use a birth control injection, as this had worked in the past to put my ovaries to sleep and had stopped my periods completely. I had the first injection, and while things settled slightly, I was still having the occasional bleed. We felt it would be beneficial to do the next injection a few weeks early to try and get some control of the situation. This pattern went on for nearly a year, and I got to the stage where I would have to take spare clothes to work with me in case I would get a sudden bleed that would sometimes soak me to the knees. Eventually my GP said enough is enough, we're going to do another smear test. After the test was done, the GP was positively pale. She said the surgery looked like a murder scene, and she referred me to the I can't pronounce that word, urgently. At this appointment, the consultant, who I will not name, found a lump in my cervix that was 2.5 centimetres. He took a biopsy and sent it to the lab. The following Friday at 2:30 p.m, I received a phone call from his clinic asking me to attend on the Monday morning and to bring someone with me to help process the information. I knew then that I was to be given the worst news. Monday morning at 9:15 on the 29th of April 2013, I was told the biopsy had confirmed cervical cancer. I would need a radical hysterectomy ASAP, and this would be performed in Galway. I don't remember much of those few months. I remember I was devastated that I couldn't go to the Robbie Williams and Ollie Murs concert because that was the day of my surgery. I was still complaining about this as they put me under. I remember waking up and feeling so vulnerable, and feeling of not being able to help myself was just the worst. But the one thing that will never leave my memories is how wonderful the nurses were and how hard they worked. They were incredibly understaffed. A few days later, I was told that everything that came out of me was clear of cancer, so therefore there had been no spread. 1 year later, the cancer was back. This time there was nothing left to cut out of me, so chemo, radiation and brachytherapy was the route we would have to take. I had to leave my children with their grandmother Monday to Friday, starting the very next day after we buried her husband, my father-in-law, who had fought a very long, grueling battle with lung cancer. As you can imagine, this was a very hard time for my family. My children were very close to their grandfather, and now they were witnessing their mother start the same fight. 6 weeks later, it was all finished, and I was ready to put this behind me. Live Like You Were Dying by Tim McGraw was my new theme tune. I was determined to put it all behind me and move on and be grateful for every opportunity I had been given by having my life saved once again. This is not easy to do when you have to use all your savings to support your family while you're unable to work. My husband, who is self-employed, had pretty much shut down his business for 3 years due to his father's illness and my own. He had to start right back at the beginning of rebuilding, and I was trying to work as much as possible in one of the worst paid professions, retail. I tried for a promotion that I had more than earned, but seriously, who wants someone prone to illness in a high-powered job? They obviously didn't say this, but I knew this was the issue, same as all the other jobs I applied for. Anyway, you make the most of what you have and you survive. That is what we have been doing ever since. My oldest daughter is now in university in Scotland because we couldn't afford for her to go to college in Ireland. We got the grant 9 months into her course, but the cost of living in Ireland plus books was just something we could not do. All this was covered in Scotland. Sorry, I told you it was a rant. We always wanted 3 children. That was the plan. We had come to terms with the fact we would never have a third, but we never considered we would have to send the first away. We miss her like crazy, but she makes us so proud every day. Unsurprisingly, she wants to be a nurse. This year, April the 21st, I hit the big 40. I'd always heard that life begins at 40, and after losing so much of my 30s to cancer, I was looking forward to this milestone in my life that more than once I didn't know I'd reach. 2 days after my birthday, I got the phone call to say my smear test had been audited and I was one of the original 209. I was invited to speak with the original consultant who had diagnosed me. I went to the meeting thinking maybe I hadn't had cancer the first time, because what else could this be about? But when I was told that actually the smear in 2012 had come back, that came back clear, had been upgraded to high abnormality cells, my cancer could have been found 1 whole year earlier. I asked if it had have been found, would I have had to have had the hysterectomy? And his answer was, I would have recommended it regardless, because you had had your family. In 2012, I was 34 years old. I had not finished my family, and how dare he tell me I had. He ended the meeting by telling me he had known the results of this audit since June 2016, but had seen that I had had the surgery and felt I didn't need to know. I asked if he knew about the reoccurrence, and he confirmed he didn't. I informed him that he didn't have the correct knowledge to make that decision. He got quite aggressive with me and even implied that this was somehow my fault. My husband asked him who did he tell, and he confirmed no one. Not my GP, not my oncology gynecologist who had been treating me for the last 6 years, and not even his own boss. He took my information and he kept it for himself. I want to know, who was he protecting? None of this was his fault. In fact, I held him in great respect. He is part of the reason I am still here. So who? Since all this has happened, I've been left on the sidelines, not knowing what will happen next. The only information I am receiving is that from the press and others who are in the same situation as myself. I have not been able to return to work. I spend my days scrolling the internet for more info and trying to make sense of all the what ifs. Apparently, I have post-traumatic stress disorder. Add this to depression, anxiety, insomnia, and severe back issues, and it all adds up. I find myself riddled with survivor's guilt. I am alive, I am free from cancer, and I get to see my children grow up. I shouldn't feel like this, but I do, and I can't shake it. Someone needs to answer for what they have done to us. It's time for people to own up and take their medicine like we have to every day. The system has failed me, and so far 220 others and their families. They can send their liaison officers out to stick plasters on us, but they can't stop the pain until somebody is held accountable. I'd just like to thank everyone for coming out and supporting us today and all the other times. I'd also like to just thank Tara for always being there for me when I need to have a whinge. And from myself and my family, thank you so much.
Thank you, Louise. You're very brave.
Thank you.